So are you a king or a queen, or are you a servant? Or are you a king or a queen who equally can be a servant? After all, when there are things within our domain, when there are things within our kingdom, we have a duty, we have a responsibility to those things, don't we? And do we have a sense of responsibility to those things, to the diminishment of our own sense of dignity? And is that sense of dignity that we're feeling is perhaps threatened by being subservient to a cause? Is that sense of dignity diminished by being connected to that? Are our sense of ethics being compromised by something that we feel we direly need to support? Are you beginning to feel on a certain level that that thing that you felt a dire need to support no longer needs your attention, no longer needs your energy, and perhaps your sense of dignity, your sense of nobility is feeling pulled apart by that? Either way, over the coming days, as Venus transits through Chitra Nakshatra, you're likely going to find yourself tossing around all of these questions in many different ways. You're looking to find a way forward with the situation where you can continue to be involved in something without somehow diminishing your own needs. You're looking to find a way to keep something moving forward without pulling yourself apart. Now, the questions that are likely going to come to the surface on a deeper level with this particular transit are, what are my ethics? Right? Now, certainly we know certain things about ourselves. We've all been alive for a certain amount of time. We know those things that are important to us. Those things still stay intact. But quite often, we find ourselves connected to a situation where we're looking at things in a new light. Sometimes we think that something is a key part of our life, only to find out that it's not for us. Sometimes something seems alluring to us, something seems important to us, only for us to find out that we've blown it way out of proportion. Either way, you are the only one who can walk your particular path. And on walking that particular path, you have to connect to your soul. Your soul itself should connect to some higher sense of purpose. At least that's my philosophy. And with that connection, you need to have, on many levels, a grand design of where you want things to go. Even if that grand design completely unravels, falls apart, and then another grand design arises in its place. We can only act with our understanding in any given moment, at the given moment in time that we are encountering our understanding of it. Think about that for a minute, right? We can only work with what we have in front of us. We can only work with our understanding, however limited that understanding might be. We can only work with what we know in any given moment, base our ideals, base our plans, base what feels right and true in the moment on that understanding. So if that understanding somehow proves faulty, are you faulty? No, probably not. Were you an idiot for following a path? Well, I guess it depends on the path that we're talking about and how much you're compromising your own sense of self. Or is it just that perhaps you're doing the best that you can with a particular situation that's evolving, that's changing itself, and at any given moment in time is needing a new level of input, right? And is that situation, or perhaps a person, whatever it might be in your life, Is it developing along its own lines, its own sense of ethics, its own sense of purpose, its own sense of understanding, its own sense of growth, to an extent that it perhaps is pulling away from your own individual path? And so then at that moment, is that something you really need to maintain your connection with? Or is perhaps your evolving sense of ethics one in which you need to move away from it? Now, I'm not saying that any of these is the particular path for you. I'm just saying these are the things you've got to take a look at in the coming days. You have to weigh them in the balance of your own heart. You have to know that along the way, you've likely done the best that you could with a particular situation. Just because that situation isn't changing right now, that doesn't mean that it's any fault of your own. It doesn't mean that you have somehow, gone wrong. It just means that it wasn't the right time. You're waiting for a vital piece of information, and you're getting closer to it. You're getting closer to that vital piece of information. I can give you an idea of how that vital piece of information is likely going to come into being. You thought it was one thing, but it's another. You thought it was multicolored, but beneath all of those colors is a common color, right? That's a metaphor, in case you didn't get that. Okay. Something that seemed extremely variable and exceptionally confusing and multi-layered can be sorted with one simple thought. But this simple thought is not something that you can rack your brain, pull your hair out, and say, I can't really do that much anymore. Pull your hair out and make it come to you. No, it's something that reveals itself in time. No matter how much you feel that you're needing to take action, no matter how much you feel that you're needing to make a decision as to whether your own specific path is much more important than that path or that thing or that person or that cause that you have been trying to support. Ultimately, you're gonna find a balance. But before you find that balance in the coming weeks, and most likely in the next couple of months, you're going to find yourself in a position where you're restless. It's not all going to change immediately. You're going to find yourself in a position where you're in between. You're kind of stuck in between. One part of you feels the new path opening for you. And the other part of you goes, right, well, I've made this plan, but it still feels like I'm stuck here. Give things time. Give things time, okay? It's a very confusing time. We're in a post-eclipse period. Much is changing in your life. Give it until like October. Things are going to become clearer. You're going to be able to take actions in a specific direction that are going to begin to have long-reaching effects, and yes, for the better. You're going to look back on this period of time, and hopefully, as you reflect on all that came before this particular moment in time, not the moment in the future, this particular moment in time, you're going to recognize that I really did the best that I could. You're going to recognize it really wasn't my fault. You're going to recognize there was no dignity to be lost. That was just my pride. And you're going to recognize that you found a way somewhere along the way to be true to yourself and equally be true to a situation, even if doing so meant walking away from that situation. If you could use a little bit of help sorting through this particular transit and what's to come in the following months, I should mention that I do offer several different levels of astrological service, all of which are available through the astrological services page of my website. If you're interested in scheduling with me, then you can follow the link above in this video. That's going to do it for this look at Venus's transit through Chitra Nakshatra, which takes place from the 22nd of August, 2018 until the 9th of September. Until next time, please do take the very best care of yourself. Bye now.